I wanted to get right straight back into the subject that I was on in my last video, was mirroring. It's my understanding, and I didn't even realize it was happening to me when it was happening, but I've come to learn that they mirror you because they either want to be just like you, or they want to learn as much as they can about you, so they tell you things, about themselves, and you share with them things, and then they turn around and, oh, you like that, I like that. And they start telling you some story about their life that relates to you, and it seems like that they are so much like you. I personally, I started thinking, this man, I knew who he was years earlier. He's 7 years younger than me, so we didn't go to school together. He actually didn't live in the same state until he was probably in his very late teens, early 20s. By then, I was married and had a child, and, I knew who he was from the area, but had never really knew him as a friend or anything. But one thing that he did was talk about the incident where he had cooked dinner, and he had cooked pork chops. He was telling me he had cooked them on a grill, and he was talking about how juicy and tender and tasty they were. And the woman comes in and sits down and starts to eat, and just talks about how dry they are, and just starts talking about she's going to eat a bowl of cereal, and it made him feel bad. It made him feel like he didn't even get any recognition for cooking. And that was the way that he mirrored me, because I had told him some things about how I felt like I wasn't given credit for things that I'd done around the house and work and help pay for things a long time. And finally she just came and told him that she wasn't going to live there anymore. She was leaving, and he even had told me that she was leaving the child behind because she didn't want to take the child out of the school. Well, of course that was not true at all, but he built her down. He put her down and I realized now, I realized it when I started watching the videos. It's a tactic of the narcissist, is to disparage other people, co-workers. They tore something up at work and I got the blame for it, or a next door neighbor, they done something. They left tire tracks in my yard, or and it's always just putting other people down. This was a red flag I didn't catch. I had mentioned earlier that I had asked a mutual friend about this man, and I really didn't want to go too deeply into it. Why I was asking, but I told him that I had asked her this. He got really defensive and upset, and he said, "What'd she say? She say I was fat?" I wondered why he thought she would say that. I didn't know if he had been, had body issues. I knew he had come to the park to walk, and I thought, he was doing it. He told me it was because he had diabetes, which I found out later wasn't even true. But he was telling me that it was because he had high blood pressure and diabetes and all this, but he didn't have diabetes. But anyway, when he said that to me, I wondered later on. At the time, I felt sorry for him, and I thought, he probably was overweight, and that was a mirroring of me that I didn't pick up on, because I had been overweight and I had struggled with my weight. And at the time that me and him first started talking, I had confided, and wasn't anything I was keeping a secret. Everybody knew knew about it, but I was getting ready to undergo the sleeve surgery to have weight loss, which I ended up not having. I ended up losing 73 pounds on my own, and anyway, that's just a little self-praise, I guess. But anyway, later on, as I thought about it, I wondered if that was a mirroring tactic to, he knew I had struggled with my weight, and I wondered if he had said that just because he wanted me and him to have one more thing in common, one more thing that we could both feel a kind of kinship. So I'm going to get ready to start wrapping this up, but this will be my last talk about mirroring. I just want you to know, people, we confide in other people without thinking. You don't think when you tell your best friend, somebody you've known for 20 years, something. Later on, you may regret if you overshare. But even a stranger, a coworker, or you just talk like I'm doing. I just pick up my phone, I start talking. I don't follow a script or think of what I'm going to say ahead of time. But, you just kind of be careful what you share with people. I'm not saying keep everything bottled up. There are counselors, there are journals that you can keep. You can do what I'm doing and make YouTube videos that are kind of anonymous. And there may be people out there that hears this and figures it out, but they, just find an outlet. Find someone who, a counselor, a minister. Join a support group. If you're going through an issue in your life, don't rely on anyone else that's not a professional of some sort, that's not obligated to keep your information secret. Don't rely on especially someone you've only just begun talking to. Keep some secrets. Keep some stuff under wraps. If they seem too great to be true, do a little research. And, that's sad. It's sad to say that, and I never thought to do that. I did ask that friend about that, but if I'd had only just asked around a little more, because one of his next-door neighbors was a woman I'd been friends with for years. If I had just confided in her that I'd been talking to this man, she would have told me right away that he had a wife, or, a live-in and a child. And that would have been, that would have squashed it right then and there. Because he had told me, probably within the first week that we began to talk and chat. And at that time, it was still just friendly banter, a friendly, what'd you have for lunch, that type of thing. Wasn't nothing personal. But he began to tell me that his woman had left and had been moved out of the home. When I started talking to him, he led me to think at least 2 months. And I'm going to get into this a little more later, but by October, by Halloween, the end of October, I was moving into this man's home. So she wasn't there. But as I found out later on, she had been there up until probably mid to late September. She'd been gone just around a month or 3 weeks when I moved into his home. I thought she'd been gone at least 3 or 4 months. That's what he had led me to think. But that doesn't matter because it was still too soon. And that's another subject, is just confiding in people too soon. Getting into a relationship too soon. You can have a relationship with somebody, but just don't tell them all of your secrets and all of your life history. Kind of, and I'm not saying to be secretive, because that will kill a relationship too, but just kind of guard some of your personal history and stuff until you get to know a person real well. To this day, it's been 2.5 years, and to this day, I still know very little about this man's childhood, his history. Just kind of hold back on sharing too much. Don't give these people a way to mirror you. Make them work for it, And I'm going to go because I'm running out of time, but I hope this helps somebody. Thanks for listening.